It's time to return to the Evercade with Toaplan Arcade 1, which as always comes with a nice full-color manual. Every game gets a couple pages of coverage, plus there's some history and interviews as well. Very cool. Let's go ahead and take Toaplan Arcade 1. Let's pop it in my VS and see how the games hold up today. Let's go to the games. Toaplan Arcade 1 is cartridge 8 of the Purple Boxed Arcade series. Amazon gives it a release date of December 15, 2022, here in the United States. It also came bundled with the limited edition Evercade EXP handheld system, which is how I got my copy. This cartridge contains the following 8 games, which I will list from my least favorite, working my way up to my most favorite. First, we start with Guardian. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up style game for 1 or 2 players alternating. And the scrolling is forced upon you, which honestly doesn't feel that great for this style of a game. There's also plenty of cheap hits, especially once you reach the second level. I wanted to like this game when I saw screenshots, imagining a Kung Fu style game in space, but it turned out to be a big disappointment instead. Tiki Paki is next. This is a puzzle game for 1 or 2 players. Get 5 or more blocks of the same color to match, and they disappear. If Sega's Columns was an inferior attempt to capitalize on the popularity of Tetris, then this game was an inferior attempt to capitalize on columns. For me, it's simply an uninteresting puzzle game. Give me columns over this any day. Alcon is the next game, a vertically scrolling shooter for 1 or 2 players alternating. Also known as Slap Fight, this game features a power-up system reminiscent of Gradius. Collecting stars advances the power-up selection on the bottom, with the secondary button applying the power-up. You have very slow continuous fire, which is basically useless, and mashing on the button led to some thumb cramping after playing for a while. Your fire range is also on the short side. The game is fun when you're powered up, but lose a life and you lose all of your power-ups. It's also pretty tough and uses an invisible checkpoint system, and it does not allow you to continue after you lose your last life. Flying Shark is the next game. This is another vertically scrolling shooter for 1 or 2 players alternating. This time your fire range can reach the entire screen, but the auto fire is painfully slow once again. You have limited bombs to use as well. This game also uses the invisible checkpoint system, but this time you can use a credit to continue once you lose your last life. The one thing keeping this one from being higher on my list is its tough difficulty, at least for me. Tiger-Heli is next, a foundational game in the lineage of Toaplan shooters. Tiger-Heli is a vertically scrolling shooter for 1 or 2 players alternating. Similar to Alcon, your fire range is short, and your auto fire is slow. So this is another shooter that gives me thumb fatigue, as I like to continuously fast fire when playing a shooter. You can use limited bombs and collect cute mini copters to fly alongside you. This game also uses the invisible checkpoint system and does not allow you to continue after you lose your last life. Still, I had some fun with it. Zero Wing is the next game. This is a horizontally scrolling shooter this time for 1 or 2 players simultaneously. Most of the weapons have a solid auto-fire option. You can use the secondary button to suck up objects and enemies like a vacuum to either use as a shield or shoot off as a projectile. This is the only shooter on the collection that allows you to pick up right where you left off when you die and continue. No invisible checkpoints needed, and I like that. The European Mega Drive port was famous for the "all your base are belong to us" line, but that line does not appear in the arcade version. Overall, this is a solid addition to this collection. Next, we have Snow Brothers. This is a platformer for 1 or 2 players simultaneously that is played one screen at a time. Your goal is to turn enemies into snowballs that you can send into other enemies that can then turn into bonuses or power-ups. Every 10 screens is a boss fight. Although your character's main speed is a little slow for my taste, this is actually a pretty fun game, and a nice, almost relaxing change of pace from all the hectic shooters in this collection. Finally, we have my favorite game, Truxton, a vertically scrolling shooter for 1 or 2 players alternating. You can use bombs and power up different weapons. Your standard weapon autofire is at a medium pace, so you'll probably want to mash that button. The game uses invisible checkpoints, but you can continue after your last life. This is also a pretty tough game, but something about it kept making me want to play it more and more. I particularly enjoyed using the blue laser weapon. While I wish it was easier and had faster autofire, I still found this one to be the best game on this collection. If you have the XP handheld, Truxton, Flying Shark, Tiger-Heli, and Alcon can all be played in tape mode. If you put this cartridge into an Evercade VS along with the Toaplan Arcade 2 collection, you can unlock the Mega Drive port of the vertically scrolling shooter Twin Hawk. Even though the original arcade version is included on Toaplan 2, I actually think this is a solid choice as a bonus game, as I prefer it over the arcade original since the difficulty is more manageable and it fills more of the screen on my TV. It would be nice if Blaze would include more home ports with their arcade collections. Family-friendly wise, the game received a PEGI rating of 7. So what did I think of Toaplan Arcade 1? Let me start out by saying I'm not the biggest shooter fan, although I can enjoy a good shooter here and there. So some more variety would have been nice, even if that meant trading one of the shooters for a non-shooter. And as I mentioned in my iROM review, I really wish Blaze would allow one of the extra buttons on the controller to be used as a rapid fire button for several of these shooters to help eliminate thumb fatigue. But who knows, maybe one day they'll incorporate this idea into a future update. But with that being said, I did enjoy several of the games. Snow Brothers was a nice change of pace game. Several of the shooters offered fun even at their high difficulty and thumb fatigue, and of course Truxton is just a blast. Unless you're a die-hard arcade shooter fan, it's not a must-own, but it is recommended for your consideration if you're an Evercade owner. So where am I going to rank Toaplan Arcade 1? It's going right next to Atari Arcade 1 at the 13th position. And even though I like several of those very early Atari Arcade games, Truxton and Snow Brothers are going to give Toaplan 1 the edge. So out of the 21 cartridges I've now ranked for the Evercade, Toaplan 1 is shooting its way into the 13th position. Toaplan Arcade 1 is probably a no-brainer for arcade shooter fans, but non-shooter fans may want to pass unless you really like Snow Brothers. But that's just what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, support the show at patreon.com/KnowsWhereGamer, and click the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time in the next episode of the Knows Where Gamer. Take care, everybody.